Hello and welcome to Bristol Sport TV from Ashton Gate Sports Bar. In the next 10 minutes or so, we'll bring you up to speed on all of your favourite Bristol sporting teams. But first, we will start with rugby, and in fact, for the next 3 weeks, it will dominate our conversation as Bristol are vying for promotion to the Premiership. On Sunday, they travel to Bedford for the second time in a week as they take on the fourth place team in the league. They then return to Ashton Gate for the home leg on Sunday, May the 8th, and if they win on aggregate points, they are through to the grand finals. But no one is thinking that far ahead, least of all this man here, Bristol's first team coach, Holley. Thank you very much. I know it's a busy time. God, it's a long drawn out affair, isn't it?
It is. It's been a long time coming again. We've waited a long time, but we've known what the prize is at the end, and you know, we've stuck to quite a rigid set of processes, and it's finally here. And fortunately, we're in the playoffs again.
Well, you are in the playoffs again, and I just heard your press conference earlier in the week that I sat in on, and very much the message is it is one game at a time, as it has been for the last few games. As
it has been all season, Lisa, to be honest. You know, we've realised the last couple of years you can't take anything for granted, and we lost the first game of the season here at Ashton Gate, which ironically was against Bedford, our opponents, this Sunday in the semi-final playoff first leg. So, you know, we've been quite hard on ourselves, and we've got our sort of structure right, and you know, we've waited for this moment, and you're right, we're just looking at Sunday as the first game, the only game really at the moment, and we have certainly a squad that can go out there and hopefully do the job of the first leg.
How hard is it to keep a lid on, if you like, on the players' emotions and feelings leading into this? Because as you say, you play all season, you've been pretty much top all season.
Well, by concentrating on one game at a time, which is no cliche, the process during the week for us is very much about that opponent for that week. So it stood us in real good stead this year because you can't look too far ahead of yourselves. We know well about that. So it's been an interesting season. It's been a long season, and you talk about emotion of the players. You know, we've certainly sensed this week, you know, if not the last couple of weeks, that the intensity and the emotion is really ramping up. So they're pretty excited.
Just focusing on last week's game against Bedford, you both, obviously they're doing their due diligence on you as well, and you both opted for very different strategies. They almost put out a second string team.
No, our strategy last week was to get some combinations playing, to pick a strong team, to try and get some rhythm in our game. We've had some boys returning back from injury, so it was good for us to get some rhythm in our game, particularly after quite a sticky game against Moseley last time out at the gate. So that was really positive. Of course, we've got a lot of strength in depth in the squad as well, maybe more so than Bedford. So then we've got some injured players returning back over the next week or two as well. So it's a real fill-up for the squad. You know, we had a slight scare with Mitch Eady and you know, Matthew Morgan, Gavin Henson, but a lot of those guys are coming back now at the right time, and when you've got a full complement in the squad, it helps training, the environment is good, the intensity is ramped up, and selection becomes a headache. So they all want to play.
That's a nice problem to have, isn't it?
They all want to play, but they're all supporting each other, and that's crucial at this stage.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Gavin Henson there. Of course, you must have been really pleased to watch Callum Sheedy. I know I was cheering from the sidelines watching that game where he just stepped up to take that last gasp win against Moseley, and then another good performance at Bedford.
He backed it up, you know, and Andy Robertson said that he was looking for him to back it up, and he did. He played a very mature role in the game against Bedford last week, but it's exciting for him. We've got, you know, a lot of talent in that position, and it's good to know that if you have a couple of injuries, you've got a youngster coming through, and I think that's something Andy and I really want to try and push forward in Bristol Rugby is local people coming through, local players, you know, pushing their way in. Joe Joyce has had a fantastic season this year, Ollie Robinson, Mitch Eady again, Ben Mosses, you know, and when you got Callum Sheedy, you know, pushing through there as well, then, you know,
and they're a real exciting Bristol hardcore contingent, aren't they?
And there's more to come. Yeah. There's more to come. You know, we watched Andy Uren last Monday for the A team. You know, had an outstanding game. He's a young Bristol product, and there's plenty more out there to come. So, you know, we want to keep doing well to encourage young talent coming through.
Now, very often with sports people, it's all about the routine and the regime leading into a big game. So, talk us through what your routine will be ahead of Bedford, because you are changing it slightly. You had a trial run last weekend.
Yeah, we'll travel up the day before the game, so we'll have what we call a captain's run on the Saturday morning, and then we'll all jump on the lovely Bristol Sport coach for the 3-hour journey to Bedford. It's a difficult journey, so we want to get it out of the way the day before the game. We stay in a hotel, and then Sunday morning it'll be breakfast and what we call walkthroughs. So the units, the forwards and the backs will get together with their coach and just walk through a few things just to get the night's sleep out of their legs, if you like, and off to Bedford to play the game. We'll meet on the pitch. before the game to assess the conditions, and then literally it's over to the players for the first half.
And an exciting first half and away leg, we hope. For those fans, I know support is always fantastically appreciated, but people that can't make the journey, of course, they can watch it here in the sports bar.
Yeah, they can have a few pints here in the sports bar, and I sometimes wish I could be in here watching it as well. But I'm going to be there, and I'm really encouraging the fellas, and they'll give it their all, that's for sure.
I'm sure they will. And talking about support, of course, it is all about packing the gate here on May the 8th, and support is crucial for that one.
But they do love playing here, and they love playing in front of the fans. So, you know, the funny thing about this competition is the game at the gate on the 8th. Everything will be on that game as it stands then, because you know, that'll be the game that'll decide whether we move on to the finals or not. So, you know, get down to the gate on the 8th and back the Bristol boys.
I'm sure everyone will, but as you say, it's a game at a time. Let's just get this weekend out of the way first. And next week we'll be talking to Director of Rugby, Andy Robinson. Of course, talking about a huge, fantastic, overwhelming win at Bedford. I can say that, you can't.
Good luck
Thanks
with Robert.
Very much. Yeah. Cheers. Well, the whole of Bristol Sport indeed is backing the boys in their playoff campaign. Indeed, Lee Johnson spoke of it in his City press conference ahead of their final home game of the season.
I think they deserve it, don't they? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and as the football club's concerned, we're desperate for them to do well. We're part of the same group. Obviously, it's a different sport, and we've all got sort of our individual job roles within that. But we do really feel like one big family, and we're desperate for them to achieve for them, because I see how hard they work behind the scenes, and they've been very, very unlucky in recent years, and this is their year. So best of luck to them from everybody at Bristol City.
And just a reminder, we are sold out for that last home game of the season against Huddersfield, and indeed we have sold out the away allocation for the game against QPR as well on May the 7th. If you haven't been lucky enough to get a ticket, you can of course watch it here in the comfort of the Sports Bar and Grill, as it will be beamed back live. There's a £5 entry fee, but your first drink is free. And speaking of beanbacks, basketball fans across the UK will be able to watch the BBL and WBBL playoff finals, even if they can't make it to London, as it was confirmed earlier this week that they will be shown live on the BBC's Red Button and online via the BBC Sport website. In what promises to be a spectacular and historic double bill at the O2 in London, May the 8th, supporters will be able to catch all the action as two pieces of silverware are dished out to the last teams standing. The BBL playoff final tips off at 3:30, with the Hoops Aid celebrity game taking place during half time, and the women's BBL playoff final will subsequently tip off at 6 o'clock. Well, City women have a tough schedule this week as they play 3 games in 8 days. They kicked it off with an away win at London Bees. Chloe Arthur, Paige Sawyer and Olivia Ferguson all on the score sheet in the second half, and that saw them win 3-0. Next up is Aston Villa at SGS Wise on Thursday evening, and again on the road for Sunday as they take on Watford. Well, Bristol Rugby ladies had a winning weekend as well, as they won the Senior Cup Plate final against Worcester. 35-3 the end result was, with Bristol pushing past 5 tries in all. That completes their season, and they'll return to action in September. And staying with women's sport, Clifton ladies hockey have a huge weekend coming up, as both their first and second 11 sides have made it through to the Invectec National Cup finals. They'll take on Buckingham in both games at the Lee Valley Hockey Centre, while their partner club Robinson's Men's will play in the over 40s final on Sunday.
This season I think we've won 1-0 and we've drawn with them, so it's always been a tight game, so we know it's going to be very, very challenging, and with any game in a cup final you never quite know which way it's going to go.
It's a huge weekend for us as a club, and obviously we're delighted to have 3 teams representing, and I think also we've got our under 12s and under 14s as well, the juniors that are also in their respective national cups as well, so I think as a club we're really trying to fly the Bristol flag high, so hopefully we can do well.
Now, last week we featured Steve Lansdown on a walk around of the West Stand, and this week I bring you news of a competition that could see you win an exclusive tour of the West Stand with John Lansdown. Many of you will have seen we've just launched the new City shirt, which goes on sale in store on Friday. And to win, all you have to do is to take a picture of yourself with your new City shirt and send it to us with the hashtag Bristol City via any social media form, and the best picture will win. Entries close at midnight on Wednesday the 4th, and we'll be drawing the winner here on Bristol Sport TV next week. Well, that's all we've got time for this week on Bristol Sport TV. Best of luck to the rugby boys away at Bedford. Don't forget you can watch the game live here on Sunday. Kick off for that at 3:15. I hope you've enjoyed the programme and have a lovely weekend of Bristol Sport.